Conservative new media viewers, JLin fans around the world, LA Lakers fans around the world. What is up? It's me, PFA, Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert. We are here to discuss the Lakers' 88-87 comeback victory tonight over the visiting Indiana Pacers at Staples Center, Los Angeles, California. With the victory, the Lakers improved to 11-23 on the season, and the Pacers fall to 13-22 with the defeat. Woo! That was a great win, and it was really a great win for the JLin fans because JLin's the reason why the Lakers won. You won't hear that from probably anybody, although I do know James Worthy gave credit to Jeremy in the post-game show. That was told to me, so we appreciate James telling the truth. Here's what happened. And I'll just say this real quickly, and then I'll give the stats. The Lakers had low energy in this game for the first half and through most of the third quarter. And with 1 minute left in the third quarter, the Lakers were down by 12 points. Then Jeremy scored 7 straight points for the Lakers. And Indiana only scored 1 point in the last minute of the quarter. So Jeremy by himself cut the Pacers' lead down in half from 12 to 6. But it wasn't just that he scored like that. He did it in an energetic way. He sparked the team. He got the team pumped up. He got the crowd pumped up and into the game. He gave the Lakers energy, and they had no energy until this point in the game. And then that spark that Jeremy created carried over into the beginning of the fourth quarter. So the Lakers went on something like a 16-5 run. And all of it began, and that 16-5 run was late in the third when Jeremy started up, going into early in the fourth. And all of it started because of Jeremy. So I'm going to tell you this as an analyst. If the Lakers did not have JLin in this game, they would not have won. Simply put. I know that Nick Young and Kobe did very well in the fourth. They did. But that wouldn't have mattered if it wasn't for Jeremy. And to be honest with you, Nick Young fed off of Jeremy's energy. And so it was critical what Jeremy did in this game. Absolutely critical. And this is one of the things that he can do, along with being a very clutch performer. He's also a momentum changer. He's a spark plug. And he definitely showed that tonight. And like I said, he's not going to get a lot of credit in the media. But believe me, when the team watches video of the game, when the coaches break it down, they'll all see it. It's very clear. That's what happened. So, great. I'm really happy for him and for the team. Okay, let's go over stats quickly. Lakers were led by Nick Young, 22 points, 3 rebounds off the bench. Kobe Bryant, 20 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. Carlos Boozer, 12 points, 4 rebounds off the bench. Ed Davis, 11 points, 6 rebounds. JLin, 10 points in 22 minutes on 2 of 6 shooting, including 1 of 2 from three-point range, 5 of 6 from the free throw line, 1 steal, no block shots, 2 turnovers, 2 personal fouls, and his plus-minus was a +7. the Lakers had 4 players who had a positive plus-minus, meaning that the Lakers outscored the Pacers when these players were on the court. And all 4 of those players were bench players. So once again, as somebody pointed out to me on Twitter, and I don't remember who it was, or I would give them credit right now, the Lakers bench outperformed the Lakers starters. And look, Byron made the moves, and he put Boozer and Lin on the bench, and inserted Davis and Price. And in a strange way, it's worked. But it's worked because the bench is really good now. The bench is oftentimes better than the starters. So it's kind of odd, but in a backward way, it's working. Now, a lot of people would say, well, if the bench is so good, maybe you should make some of the bench people starters. But whatever. I mean, it was effective tonight, and it's been effective many times since Byron made the move. So, good. I know I'd still rather like Jeremy to start, but I'm glad that he's getting more and more effective in this role. Just as I've said before, I want Jeremy to be good at every single role. I want him to be able to play in every single type of offense and every single type of a role, because then he'll be as versatile as possible, and it won't matter what team he's on, what system they're running, who's the coach, etc. Okay, Indiana. All 5 of Indiana's starters were in double-figure scoring, led by Donald Sloan, their point guard, 16 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists. He almost had a triple-double. C.J. Miles off the bench, 19 points. And Roy Hibbert, the center, 12 points, 11 rebounds. Another thing I should mention, just that you'll hear about from this game, was that Carlos Boozer and Roy Hibbert got into a little bit of a skirmish. I think it was early in the 4th, midway through the 4th. Basically, Carlos Boozer shoved down Roy Hibbert to the ground. Roy Hibbert didn't like it, and he got up and he shoved Carlos Boozer back. Carlos got a flagrant 1 foul. He was not ejected. Roy Hibbert got a technical foul for retaliating, and that kind of occurred. So that was when that was in the 4th quarter, and it's when things were picking up after Jeremy had increased the energy of the Lakers, and then so the Lakers kind of started matching the physical play of the Pacers. Okay, now let me go over, before I talk more about the game and quarter by quarter and stuff, let me discuss some of what was going on before the game, kind of the pregame chatter, as well as just a couple other concerns and thoughts that just a couple people have communicated to me, or that I've seen just said. So I'll get to that in a second. Now, the first thing is, I was over on JLin Portal, which is a great site that we love the people over there, the moderators, the administrator, and I saw that somebody named Frank had written something saying that I've been too critical of Jeremy lately, or something along these lines. Now, this isn't a new thing. I'm criticized all the time by people who are Lin fans. I'm too hard. They think I'm being too hard on Jeremy. I'm criticized by people who are Lakers fans. They think I'm being too easy on Jeremy, or I'm being too critical of Kobe, this type of a thing. So I get it from all sides. And that's just, I mean, it's no big deal. That's what it is. If you're going to commentate on games, you're going to hear that. And you have to be able to deal with that. If you can't deal with it, then you shouldn't make videos. You shouldn't commentate and analyze, because, I mean, that's part of the deal. However, my opinion or my thought process as regards Jeremy is I want Jeremy to be the best player that he can be. And that means you have to try to be honest about him. So I'm not just going to say stuff or blow smoke about Jeremy when I don't think when I don't feel that way. So if I see something that I think is an issue, then I'm going to bring it up. That doesn't mean I'm right about it all the time, or maybe I'm going to get it wrong sometimes. And there's things that I don't know because I'm not in Jeremy's head. I'm not in Jeremy's circle. So I don't know everything. I'm not a member of the Lakers coaching staff. But I'm just going to try to say what I see and just go from there. Jeremy's a big boy. He can take it. And he wants to be the best he can be as a basketball player. So you can't do that by falsely inflating people. You just got to try to be honest about it. And we're honest. We'll criticize Byron Scott or Kevin McHale or Daryl Morey or whomever when they are wrong towards Jeremy Lin. We also have to try to be honest when we talk about Jeremy himself. And so that's where I'm coming from. But the point of it is to help Jeremy get to where he can get to. That's it. That's the only reason I'm doing it. Another thing with that is I'm focused on Jeremy. So when I watch games and stuff, all my attention, or a significant amount of my attention, is focused on Jeremy Lin as opposed to other players. So I will see more positive things with Jeremy, but then I'm also going to see more negative things with him than I'm going to notice about other players because I'm just not paying as much attention to them. For the people who think, and there are people who feel this way, think I'm not fair to Kobe, or I'm too intense in my criticism of Kobe or Byron Scott. Look, it's a fair point. I try to be as objective as I can be, but I would say to you that you have to understand that we're looking at the games through the lens of Jeremy Lin. And again, as critical as you might think I'm being towards Kobe or another Laker, believe me, there's 10 degrees more from many of Jeremy Lin's fans than what you're going to hear from me. So I think that there's some truth to that. I think there are times I'm a little too harsh on Kobe or Byron Scott or whatever, not quite as fair as I could be. I think that's fair. But I'm still trying to keep it within a certain boundary, not get way out there. Because trust me, there are people way out there. And just, they're just, we try to stay away from that. That's the easiest way I can say it. Okay, now there's been all this talk coming into this game since the end of the Memphis game about Jeremy Lin and the foul, and he didn't foul, and Kobe had to run up and foul the guy, and blah, blah, blah. Look, bottom line is this. Somebody made a video, and Ken Ye, I believe, made it, and I put it up on Twitter, and he broke down frame by frame of the end of the Memphis game, and it's the name of the video is something like why Jeremy Lin doesn't foul in the Memphis game. It's great if you're a Lakers fan or you're a Lin doubter. Please go and watch that video because it explains everything. It shows Jeremy Lin looking at Byron Scott multiple times, asking him if he wants him to foul. pointing to the game clock to try to make sure that Byron knows exactly how much time is left. And Byron Scott is telling him, don't foul. He's kind of putting his hands up like, nope, don't do it yet. Don't do it yet. Jeremy did exactly what his coach wanted him to do. And if he went against the coach, you can't do that, particularly for a player of Jeremy's stature. If you're Kobe and you want to go against your coach, okay, you might get away with that. You might not. You might get into a public battle with your coach then, but you might get away with it. Jeremy can't do that. He can't do that. Imagine if Jeremy had done that. Imagine if Jeremy decided he was going to foul the Memphis player, Mike Conley, even though Byron Scott told him not to foul Mike Conley. Think about what would have happened. Think about Byron going in the media, especially because the team lost. Think about Byron going to the media. Jeremy disobeyed me. I don't know what he was doing. So think about that. I don't care what Kobe did or Kobe's decision, whatever. Kobe didn't see what Byron was telling Jeremy, obviously. So that's it. Byron told Jeremy to do something. Jeremy followed him because Byron's the coach, and that's it. That's why I haven't gotten into it too much on Twitter. There's nothing to talk about. Anybody that's saying that Jeremy's in the wrong or he's stupid, just I guess you advocate insubordination whenever you feel like it because Kobe wanted to foul. That's just stupid. That's just dumb. I mean, I can't even muster the energy to debate that because it's idiotic. There's no debate. So it's as simple as that. Okay, now the final thing before it was actually a little bit more pregame, but leading up to this game, there was a discussion Byron and Scott talked about in practice recently about how much should Kobe shoot. Since Kobe came back from his resting period of 3 games, he's shooting the ball much less, shooting the ball like 11 times per game coming into tonight's game against the Pacers. Apparently, according to Byron Scott, Kobe said to Byron that he wanted to shoot maybe like 14 times a game, 13 to 14 times. Now, before Kobe's rest period, he was shooting about 22 times per game. So this is a significant reduction. But I think Kobe was thinking it'll be easier on his body, put out less energy, don't wear himself out trying to do everything. Because that's why he had to take the rest. His body was just kind of wearing down. Byron apparently said that he would rather see Kobe shoot like 18 or 19 times per game or something like that. So there's a little bit of a discrepancy there. Kobe maybe wants to shoot 14 times. Byron wants him to shoot maybe 18 times per game. Well, as a reference point, tonight against the Pacers, Kobe shot 14 times, and the team won. Kobe is at the point in his career, in my opinion, where the more, if you try to use him too much, the efficiency will go way down, and it will go down quickly. When he was younger, he could do that. You could play him 40 minutes a night, and he could do everything. He could take 25 shots and still dish out 8 assists and get 7 rebounds. Now he can't do that. Just he's older and has more mileage on him. So you have to, what is the best way to use Kobe's minutes and energy? And what you're seeing with Kobe now is he's playing more of what I believe he himself called the Oscar Robertson mode. Oscar Robertson, of course, was a great guard forward who averaged a triple-double for one season of his career. So in other words, Kobe's trying to do everything rather than just more heavily focusing on scoring. It's a little bit easier on his body, and it's working. They put up a graphic tonight during the game that said that Kobe had, since he returned after the rest, he was averaging like 16 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists. So, I mean, that's a great formula. And so I would, look, I mean, Byron, on the end of it, Kobe's going to do what Kobe wants to do. So even if Byron wants him to shoot 20 times and Kobe wants to shoot 14 times, Kobe's going to shoot 14 times. And I think that Kobe, knowing himself, I think Kobe's probably correct here, which is to say, shoot a little bit less, get your field goal percentage up a bit more, and trust your teammates to hit some shots. And, save your body so that you can make it through this season and next season without suffering any more injuries or setbacks. So that was the chatter before the game or leading up to the game. Now I'm going to say a couple of things that actually were said by the Lakers broadcast at the start of tonight's game. They come on and there's 10 minutes before the game actually begins. And so they set up the game. One of the first things they said was that Jeremy was great in the Memphis game, which he was. Then they talked about JLin and how he plays at home versus JLin and how he plays on the road, that whole thing. And Stu Lance said that Jeremy must be consistent in his performances and he must be good on the road. I've talked about this before. I think that I don't think that's a big deal, home versus road. I think it's more of a circumstantial thing than it is an issue. What I mean by that is I think it's some of these games are like second nights, back-to-back, difficult opponents on the road versus maybe some easier opponents at home, this type of thing. I don't think it's a big deal. But whatever. If there is anything to it, well, sure, great. Let's hopefully Jeremy will work on it, but I don't think it's a big deal. Okay, now another important news item that was said in the pregame was that Kobe will not travel with the team tomorrow to Portland. So the Lakers are playing on a back-to-back, and they're again starting to be more conservative with resting Kobe. Let's get him away from some of these back-to-back situations. Let's play him fewer minutes, and maybe we can play him in a style that's a little less demanding on his body. I think this is great. I think it's great. This is what the Spurs do. It's what some of the other teams are starting to do. The NBA season is a grind. It's grueling. You have 82 games in whatever it is, 5 or 6 months. Your body takes a pounding. I mean, it's difficult for guys that are young and in shape. When you get guys that are a little bit older and they've had various injuries, it's hard. So I'm glad to see this. I think this is going to give Kobe a much better chance to finish his career in a healthy way and in a way that lets him perform at a high level. If you're just redlining him and maxing him out, and he's got to shoot 25 times a game, and he's got to play 38 minutes, he's not going to perform well. So you're going to see a lesser version of him. But if you can rest him some, cut his minutes down, then he can perform better. And he can go out the way that he wants to go out rather than as a diminished version of himself. So that's good to hear. Also, I just want to add to that because it goes with this. Wesley Johnson also will not play against Portland tomorrow because he was injured in this game tonight against the Pacers. So he and Kobe will not travel with the team as they go up to take on the Portland Trailblazers tomorrow. Finally, it was said that the Indiana Pacers were the number one scoring defense coming into this game. And we saw that tonight. They held the Lakers down pretty well. Fortunately for the Lakers, they were able to also hold down the Pacers. The Pacers play great defense. They don't play exceptional offense. And so the Lakers were able to beat them at their own game. And that's very good to see. So, all right, that's the setup. Let's discuss the game itself and the quarter by quarter. Early in the first, I noticed Kobe got off to a very hard start in this game. He started very well. He looked fresh. His legs were lively. He looked energetic. And by the time the score was 11-7 Lakers, Kobe already had 7 points, 3 rebounds, and 1 assist. So this is more reinforcement of the changes that have been made in terms of Kobe's playing since he returned from the rest period are working. We can see it. This is clearly a better version of Kobe that we're seeing now. So it's good to see. The team, Kobe himself, Byron, the training staff, they've made some adjustments, and it's starting to pay off. Now we are seeing a better version of Kobe than what we saw earlier in the year. And look, you don't know it until you do it. Nobody has a perfect roadmap of what Kobe needed to do when he came back. So it was kind of a trial and error period. And now adjustments are starting to be made, and they're working. So that's really good to see. And like I said, it's paying off for the team. The better version of Kobe you get, the better the chance the team has to win. So I don't think it's a coincidence that the team's doing better with Kobe playing like this. Okay. As I mentioned earlier, since Kobe has come back from his rest period, they noted as the game was getting underway that he was averaging 11 field goal attempts per game in his comeback, as opposed to 22 field goal attempts per game before he took the 3 games off. Okay, heading late into the first, we were still only at 13-12 as a score. So we knew this was going to be a low-scoring game, which is not surprising with the Pacers involved. The Lakers were then starting to go to a double team on Roy Hibbert. So Roy is such a big guy. He's listed at 7'2". I believe he's legitimately about a little over 7 feet in his bare feet. And he's like 280 pounds. The Lakers don't have anybody big enough to guard Roy Hibbert. I mean, there's not a lot of guys in the league who are big enough to guard Roy Hibbert straight up. The Lakers definitely don't have anybody that is big enough to guard him straight up. So they were double teaming him, bringing Kobe over to help out, and it worked pretty well. It was going pretty good. Then, also late in the first, Kobe got a nice dunk. He cut to the basket, and he caught a pass, and he jumped off of both feet, and he dunked with 2 hands, and it looked pretty good. That was a pretty good jump for him. Kobe has very long arms relative to his height, so he doesn't have to jump very far to dunk. But still, that might have been one of the best dunks he's done since coming back from the Achilles surgery. It looked really easy. And that means, again, his legs, they are getting fresher. They are getting stronger. So let's just, again, keep up with this new program because it seems to be working. Okay. Then the graphic that was put up about Kobe was that since he has come back, again, this was coming into this Indiana game. In the 3 games since he came back from resting 3 games, Kobe was averaging 16 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists. That's fantastic. And you can't argue with that, particularly if the team's doing well, which it has done pretty well with Kobe playing in that style. Jeremy came into the game for Ronnie Price with 2 minutes and 9 seconds left, and the score at that point was 26-15 for the Pacers. Now, at this point in the game, Indiana had already hit 6 3-pointers. So they were hot. They couldn't miss. Then Jeremy had Donald Sloan got by Jeremy off of the dribble. So he drove around Jeremy, and Jeremy wasn't great defense. Then I put Nick Young sucks, because now Nick was struggling. Nick has been struggling with his shooting in recent games, and he was continuing to struggle here early in the first. However, Nick did really get hot late in the fourth and in the fourth quarter. Again, I think that coincided with Jeremy kind of energizing the team, and Nick fed off of that. So even though Nick was having a hard time early in this game, he stayed with it, and it paid off. Then Jeremy had a steal, which I did not see. He then had an offensive foul. He was driving to the basket, and he pushed, I think it was Donald Sloan, with his left hand, his off hand, the hand that is not being used to dribble the basketball. And you're not allowed to do that. You will often see players do that. They're not trying to do it usually. It's more of a reaction. You just want to move the guy out of your way so you have space. And that's what Jeremy did, and he got caught doing it. Sometimes guys do make movements with their arm on purpose. You will see players do what is known as hooking the defender. They will basically get their elbow on the defender and kind of use that to pin the defender and hook them so that they can get by them. That's illegal. You're not allowed to do it, but if the referee doesn't see it, then you can get away with it, and it's done frequently. So that is sometimes done on purpose. But usually in this situation, Jeremy wasn't trying to do it. It was a reflex, and a referee called him for it. And when you get an offensive foul, you get a turnover. So that was Jeremy's first turnover of the game. At this point in time, and this would continue until the end of the quarter, Indiana was on a 14-0 run. So the Lakers were actually up 7 points early in this game, and then by the end of the first quarter, they were down by 13. So you had a 20-point swing in the quarter, and it was like, oh. So as I mentioned previously, it didn't look good for the Lakers. They only scored 15 points in the first quarter. They were falling into the trap. They're playing slow, like Indiana likes to do, and they're losing energy rapidly. So they're kind of falling into the Indiana trap of how they want you to play. So it wasn't looking so hot then. Okay. Then moving on into early in the second, Jeremy was still on the court, and the Lakers were starting to make a move. They were starting to cut down the lead, and it made the note, Lakers bench rescuing starters again. So we're becoming used to this. Jeremy missed his second, he had his second missed field goal of the game. He was close to the right baseline. It's a nice little jump shot, but it just went in and out of the rim, and it was a miss. Then he forced a turnover against Rodney Stuckey. Basically, Jeremy dove towards the ground, and I think the ball went off of Rodney Stuckey, and it was Lakers' ball. Then I put that Nick was playing a little more point guard than Jeremy was. But in Byron Scott's offense, the two guards kind of share the point guard duties. So I don't know if this is a thing of like, okay, Nick's taking over and pushing away Jeremy. I think it's more of like in the way Byron runs his offense, both guards share the duties. So I'm not sure what was the case here, but I think it might be more of that what I'm saying right now, which is just that's the designed way it is supposed to work. Then Jeremy had a tough defensive play. Rodney Stuckey hit a jump shot over him, even though Jeremy was playing good defense. Then Jeremy had his second foul of the game. He was behind Rodney Stuckey. Rodney Stuckey got to the basket, and Jeremy fouled him to prevent a basket. And I made the note that says you got to pick up the defense because Rodney Stuckey was going at Jeremy, and he did pick up the defense later, did Jeremy. Okay, then again, Rodney Stuckey put another little move on Jeremy that was a tough move. It was a tough thing for Jeremy. And so Jeremy was struggling a little bit in his first run in the game, but that was going to change later. Okay, then Jeremy, middle of the second, was fouled. He was going to the basket, got 2 free throws, hit 1 out of the 2. Then Jeremy came out of the game with the score 38-28 for the Pacers. Ronnie Price came in for Jeremy, and Kobe Bryant came back in with Ronnie. And then Kobe was having a little bit of difficulty himself on defense, guarding Solomon Hill, who is the Pacers' starting small forward at this time, of course, with Paul George being out with injury. And then Donald Sloan had a nice play against Ronnie Price. So Donald Sloan had a very good game, and neither Ronnie nor Jeremy was doing a tremendous job of slowing him down, although I thought Jeremy played him well later on in the game. So that's good. Ronnie then, middle of the second as well, he missed an open three-pointer. So Ronnie had a couple games there where he really looked good. It was like a renaissance for Ronnie Price on offense. Tonight was a little bit tougher for him. So it's kind of a law of averages type of a thing. So tonight was tougher for Ronnie than it had been in recent games. Okay. Then, though, Ronnie did have a three-pointer from the left-handed corner off of a nice pass from Kobe Bryant, which led to an Indiana timeout. So that was a nice play. Then they put up a graph late in the second quarter saying that neither team had scored a fast break point in the game up until this point in time. So this was a slow game. Neither team was getting out and running. It was kind of slow, which, again, that's how Indiana wants to play. So if you are playing like that, you're playing into their hands. Indiana's big. They're physical. They rebound well. They play great defense. So they want to get you to do that. And that's exactly what the Lakers were doing up until this point in time. Okay. Just looking over my notes here really quickly. Kobe then, late in the second, he had a bad pass that led to an Indiana layup. And as we headed to halftime, the score was 48-41 for the Pacers. So they were up by 7 points, and they looked really in control of this game at this point in time. The Lakers did start the first quarter really hot, and then that went away fast. And then from that point on until halftime, Indiana looked like they were totally in control. They were doing what they wanted to do, and that was it. And I believe I said in the short video, having a 7-point deficit to a team like the Pacers is like being down 15 points to another team because their defense is so good and the game is so slow that it's very difficult to make points up against Indiana. So you can't let the score get too far away. You're not going to have any chance to be able to come back against them. Okay, moving on to the third quarter. Of course, Jeremy started the quarter on the bench, and Ronnie, in the middle of the third, missed an open three-pointer, but then he hit a jumper. Then Wayne Ellington had a terrific baseline dunk. It was on the right baseline. He received a pass, and he drove right along the baseline and dunked it with two hands. It was fantastic. That energized the crowd and the team. That was good. Now, still, the Pacers were up 11 points at that time, but that was certainly a nice little needed boost for the team. And they put up a graphic late in the third quarter, which we're moving on to now. To this point in time, the Pacers had outscored the Lakers 15-2 in second chance points. Second chance points means you're on offense and you shoot the ball and you miss it, but you get the offensive rebound. And then after you get the offensive rebound, you score. So you didn't score on the first chance on a possession, but you got a rebound and you scored on the second chance. And so the Pacers were totally dominating the Lakers in that stat. And what that basically means is the Pacers are getting offensive rebounds and the Lakers aren't getting offensive rebounds. So the Lakers got crushed in rebounding tonight, or they did for most of the game. And a lot of those rebounds were offensive rebounds for the Pacers, and it really hurt the Lakers badly. Looking at the total rebound stats for the night, the Pacers had 50 rebounds, and the Lakers had 37. So that's a minus 13. That's not good, but I think it was even worse during the game. So the Lakers kind of rallied a little bit later, but they were – so that's what the Pacers want to do. Slow the game down, grind you out, play tough defense, and out-rebound you, both on defensive reboundings and on offensive rebounds. And that's what they were doing to Lakers up until this point in the game. Now, this is when things started to change. And, again, to be fair, Wayne Ellington did have that dunk. That was a nice little spark, although the Lakers were still down quite a bit at that time. And Byron Scott started to run a full-court press. I've explained this before in other videos, but I'll explain it again for newer basketball fans. A full-court press is when you, as a defensive team, decide to guard the opponent all the way up the court. Usually you will see that a team will retreat on defense and then they will guard the offensive team once they get past half court. But what you do with a full court press is you guard them even when the offensive team is on the other side of half court. So as soon as they inbound the ball, you're there guarding them and maybe trapping them and slowing them down. And it was a good tactic by Byron, because what Byron was trying to do was he knew that the Lakers were playing into the Pacers' hands. And so he had to try to do something to change the momentum. It worked a little bit. Ronnie Price got a steal and a dunk. I don't think it didn't do a ton, but at least it was a good idea to try to change what was happening. Because if the game continued going on the trajectory that it was going on, the Lakers were definitely going to lose. And so Byron he knew that, so he was trying to do something. It didn't, like I said, in a practical sense, I don't think it did a tremendous amount, but it was a good idea. It was a good idea. And so I have to give Byron credit for that. Okay, now, as I mentioned earlier, here's the situation. JLin came into the game for Ronnie Price with 2 minutes and 47 seconds left in the third quarter. At that point in time, the score was 64-56. So the Lakers were down by 8 points. Now, with 48 seconds left, with 58 seconds left in the third quarter, that deficit for the Lakers had gone to 12 points. They were then down 68-56. And this is when JLin himself took over the game and changed the entire game and changed the momentum and changed the outcome of the game. Jeremy realized that nothing was happening for the team. They didn't have any energy. And like I said, they were on a course where if things stayed as they were, the Lakers were going to lose. So Jeremy got it in his head, I got to do something. And that's exactly what he did. First, I was driving to the basket, drew a foul, and Rodney Stuckey got 2 free throws, hit them both. Then C.J. Miles was fouled for the Pacers, and he hit 1 free throw out of 2. Then Jeremy came down off of the C.J. Miles made the free throw. The Lakers inbounded the ball. Jeremy came down on about 40 degrees right of the top of the arc with 34 seconds left in the quarter, and he drilled a 3-pointer. The reason why Jeremy shot the ball when he did was he was trying to do what's known as a 2-for-1 situation. The shot clock is 24 seconds long. There are now 34 seconds left in the quarter. If you shoot the ball quickly, you will get the ball back again to have another possession. So instead of getting 1 possession, you want to get 2 possessions. And so that is known as a 2-for-1 because you're going to get 2 possessions and the opponent is only going to get 1 possession. So if you wonder why did Jeremy come down and shoot so quickly, it's because he knew that. And that's exactly what he wanted to achieve, and he did it. And not only did he do it, he got a 3-point shot out of it. So that was smart on multiple. It was smart play, and he made the shot. So then Indiana came down. David West missed a shot. And again, Jeremy raced up the court, drew another foul on Rodney Stuckey, and made both free throws. And that was basically the end of the quarter. C.J. Miles had a 33-foot heave 3-pointer, but he missed it. So in that little span of time, less than 1 minute, the Lakers went from down 12 points to only down 6 points. And Jeremy fired the team up with that 3-pointer. He was pumped up. He was energetic. When he was aggressive, he was going to the basket hard. The crowd was into it. The Lakers bench was into it. They're cheering. They're up. They're fired up. And now the score is only 6. Now you're only down 6. Now you've got a chance going into the fourth quarter. And that momentum, which Jeremy generated for the team, was going to carry over. It was going to carry over into the fourth quarter. So the team was going to ride that wave of energy which Jeremy Lin generated. As I said, if you don't have Jeremy Lin in this game, you lose this game. As simple as that. That's it. There's no question about it in my mind. Okay, now we're moving on into the fourth quarter. Jeremy's still out on the court, and the Lakers continued their onslaught, their comeback, their rally. Indiana missed a shot. Carlos Boozer then made a jump shot. Indiana turned the ball over. Then Jeremy missed a jump shot of his own. It was a good look, just went in and out. The Pacers missed a shot, and then Swaggy P. Nick Young hit a 3-pointer. So now the lead's down to 1 point. And this is with 10 minutes and 30 seconds left in the fourth quarter. So in a minute and a half of the fourth quarter, and then going back to about 1 minute left in the third quarter, the Lakers had cut a 12-point lead down to 1. So they had outscored the Pacers by 11 points in 2.5 minutes. And again, it all started off of Jeremy Lin's play. And like I said, now The crowd's pumped up. The crowd's into the game again. Swaggy P's feeling good. Everybody's feeling good. Momentum shift. And it's just great. I mean, you could feel it. Everything changed. Lakers had nothing. They didn't have anything in this game until then. And now they had it going. And the Pacers were in trouble. And they knew they were in trouble. And it was great. Okay, then Pacers they kind of pushed back on the Lakers. They scored the next 3 points of the game to get the lead back up to 4 points. But Jeremy wasn't done quite yet. And he then hit a nice... before that, after Nick Young had hit that 3-point shot to cut the lead down to 1, the Pacers had taken a timeout. After the timeout, the Pacers missed a jump shot, or they missed a shot, and Jeremy threw a full court pass trying to find Nick Young so he can get a layup or a dunk. It was a really good pass, but Indiana, at the very end of it, I can't remember who it was, jumped up super high and intercepted it at the last minute. So if Jeremy had thrown the ball about 2 feet longer, it would have worked. But it just was just slightly short, and unfortunately, it became his second and final turnover of the game. Let me say one other note about this, just while I'm talking about turnovers. I was doing some research on Jeremy yesterday, and what I found was that before coming into this game, Jeremy's turnovers per 36 minutes were down to 3.0. That is the lowest mark that he's been at since his rookie season. So what I'm saying is that for the last 3 seasons, the year in New York and the 2 years in Houston, his turnovers per 36 number was greater than 3.0. Now, his year in Golden State, it was lower than 3.0, but he didn't play hardly at all. So he didn't have the ball much. Let's put it that way. So we can't turn the ball over if you don't have the ball in your hands. This is really good to see. Now, it'll go up slightly from tonight, I believe, a little bit. Maybe it'll creep back up to 3.1. What this shows is Jeremy's improving on this. He's improving on his turnovers. And as a fan of Lin, this is really good to see. Plus, not only is he improving on his turnovers, he's improving on his turnovers even though he's on a new team with new teammates in a new system that isn't really his type of system. So it's clear that he's working on this. He's put effort into improving this, and it's paying off. And like I said, look, as Lin observers, Lin fans, we're looking for small progress, game to game, month to month, and this is improvement. He's looking quite good in terms of these things like assist-to-turnover ratio, turnovers per 36. He's improving. I've said it before. He still has a ways to go as a player, but he's starting to get there. I really believed that the Memphis game was a turning point for Jeremy. Now, I know a lot of people are unhappy he didn't play a lot tonight, and I'll get to that in a bit. I think that Jeremy, and I believe that he had a blog post about this on his site. I think Jeremy feels like he's starting to settle into LA. Like he's starting to understand what Byron wants him to do, what Kobe wants him to do, and so on. As we've talked about before with Jeremy, even what Kobe said the other day about, hey, Jeremy's got to relax. Sometimes smart people take themselves too seriously, etc. Jeremy is somebody that has to feel comfortable to be at his best. And some guys aren't like that. Some guys don't care. They're just whatever. They're just the way they are all the time. Other people, they're a little bit, kind of a little nervous, a little shy until they settle in. Jeremy's that type of a person. And now he's starting to settle in. And I believe that the Memphis game was a turning point for him. Yeah, he wasn't incredible tonight, but he was good tonight. And he was good when he needed to be good. So, yes, Byron can slow or interfere with Jeremy's progress curve, depending on how much Byron plays him or does not play him. But I think Jeremy, in his own mind, is starting to cross the threshold of he's over the hump in LA and for his career. I can feel it. I can feel it coming. You can see it. And that's really, really good. So the data is there. He's improving. He's getting there. Let's just stay with it. Okay. Then Jeremy, this is the early in the fourth still, he then hit a baseline right fadeaway jump shot. It was a great shot. I think it was against one of the Pacers' big men. I think it was on a switch, and Jeremy confidently, little step back, and just drilled it. It was just perfect. Then I put energy, super energy Lin. At this point in the game, and this is going back to late in the third, with 1 minute. Jeremy his intensity was through the roof. He was flying around the court. I mean, diving for rebounds, just like Superman. And you could feel it. Like I said, the team feeds off of that. The crowd feeds off of that. I mentioned in the last video, and this is, I think, something that upset the commenter Frank at JLin Portal. I said that Jeremy is stubborn in terms of how he plays at times. He is stubborn, but it's a weakness, but it's also a strength. Jeremy knows he's a game changer. That's why in my opinion, that's why he's so stubborn about wanting to play his way, because he knows if you let him play his way, he can change the entire game. That's good, but you also have to be able to play in a slower way or in a lower profile way. And that's what I think sometimes Jeremy struggles with. If I know he struggles with it because I've seen him struggle with it in Houston and in LA. It's just it's just a normal aspect of progression. Like, it's easy for me to see it because I'm not JLin. Right? I'm not him. I'm not in the situation. It's like if you watch a basketball game and you're up in the stands, you're up in the suites, you can see everything. Everything's simple. But if you're down on the court playing in it, you can't see all of that. So, I mean, it's clear to me, but I'm not playing the game. I'm not in it. So it's a lot harder when you are in it. And it's a different you want to win, then you want to do what you want to do, what you think is going to help the team win. So, it's like I said, it's much easier for me to say it than it is for Jeremy to have to do it. But he's getting there. And this is part of what Kobe said, and I gave Kobe a hard time on Twitter. And again, I know some of Kobe's fans weren't happy with me about that, and I understand that. But part of what Kobe said the other day was that Jeremy's just got to go through it. No matter what I tell Jeremy, he's got to go through it. It's like a parent to a kid. You can tell the kid everything. Until the kid goes through it, it doesn't matter. And that's kind of what Jeremy is going through now. I'm not saying Jeremy's a kid. It's just an analogy. But Jeremy has to experience it for himself and work through it for himself. And he's doing it. He is doing it. But What I said before stands. He is stubborn. He is stubborn at times about how he plays and kind of slow to adapt. And that's fine. It's not like he's the only player like that. That happens all the time. I mean, it's like, Kobe didn't want to play Mike D'Antoni's offense. He fought it. LeBron doesn't want to play David Blatt's offense in Cleveland. So this isn't some fatal flaw. It's not just Jeremy. It's just I can see it in Jeremy. So because I'm observing Jeremy, I'm just going to point it out because I see it. But he's working through it, and he's starting to get to the other side. It's like digging a tunnel. He's almost starting to come out the other side, and so the good part's still to come. Okay, then, like I said, Jeremy. Now the score was 72-70 for Indiana. We're still early in the fourth. The comeback was almost totally complete now. Jeremy's rolling. Jeremy's in control, and Lakers they're all energized. They're pumped up. The crowd's 100% into its, defense, saying, chanting, etc. Then we head to the middle of the fourth, assist on a pick and roll play with Carlos Boozer. Carlos Boozer he set the pick, and then he popped out to the free throw line. Jeremy gave him the ball, dish him. Carlos hit the jump shot, and that tied it up 74-74. And the Lakers were on a 16-5 run, all begun by JLin late in the third quarter. At this point in time, the Lakers were clearly running several pick and rolls for Jeremy. So, again, I don't know who called it. I don't know if it was Byron, players on the court, but whoever it was the right move. And, look, we've said this 100 times, and we'll say it again. Jeremy can play this way anytime he wants. It's just he doesn't get to play this way. And I know KP Chen said this on KP, I'm sorry, I can't remember if KP Chen or KP Chan. I apologize. I think it's KP Chan. Sorry, my mind's rattled right now. KP understood what I was trying to say in terms of you must adapt to the offense and what the coach wants. You must do what your boss wants you to do. Now, if the boss was smart enough to understand that if he ran you off pick and rolls play after play, you would really do a whole bunch of damage against the opponent, then you would be able to do that. But if the boss doesn't want you to do that, then if you try to do it, you're not going to play a lot. I mean, you have to be able to adjust to the reality. And that's what I'm saying. I want Jeremy to play. And so you got to play the way the coach wants you to play. Because if you don't, you're not playing. And I know KP understood that, and that's all I was trying to say. But when they let Jeremy out of the cage and they let him run free and they let him get in transition and they let him run pick and rolls, he's going to tear up the other team. And that's what he was doing right here. And to all the doubters and the haters, Jeremy can do this the same way he did it in New York. He just hasn't been given the opportunity to do it for the last 3 years. That's the difference. That's the difference. But the talent is still there. The talent's better than it was in New York. Jeremy's a much better player now than he was in New York. He's a much more complete basketball player. He's more seasoned. He's more mature as a player. He understands the game better, and so on. And he's going to still get better and better. Now, at some point, of course, there's a curve. I mean, at some point you lose your athleticism, and so even if your mental aspect gets better, your physical aspect gets less. Jeremy's not at that point yet. Jeremy's 26 years old. He's fine. He still has several more years, at least, where he's going to have all his athletic ability, speed, and so on. So I just keep working. Just keep improving. As I said in the Memphis game video, the long video, he will get there. There will come a time where these various elements of his game are all going to come together. The shooting's going to be better and better. The decision-making is going to be better and better. The needed experience and trying different things and failing and learning and just understanding the game more, that's going to get better and better. He's getting there. He's getting there. It's still going to take time, but he's on the right path. He's on the right path. And I will say this too. If Kobe is going to play the way that he's playing now, if Kobe plays the way that he's playing since he returned from 3 games off for rest, then I think it can be manageable for Jeremy to stay in Los Angeles. Early in the year, it's like, oh, man, Kobe's shooting 25 times. There's no room for Jeremy. Maybe it's better if Jeremy leaves L.A. I'm not saying that, look, and I don't know what Jeremy's going to do. He and his team will make that decision after the year, and we still have a long way to go in the year. They have to do whatever's best for them. But now I'm beginning to see a possibility where it can work for Jeremy to stay in L.A. and kind of ride out the time in which Kobe and Byron are still there. If Kobe plays like this, which is more of a team ball mode, and as long as Byron gives Jeremy the chances, then I think Jeremy can still be cool and remain in LA. And again, as we've talked about previously, LA is the best place for Jeremy to be in the NBA. It's better than New York, and well, all things considered, there's only, in my opinion, there's only really like 4 markets that I would put Jeremy Lin in if I was his management team. New York, San Francisco, the Bay Area, LA, and Toronto. Those are the only 4 markets that I would consider for him if I was trying to maximize him as a player and as a brand, basically. Of those 4 markets, LA is the best. LA is the best. You got the whole Hollywood thing. Jeremy is from California. He loves the area. He's got a bunch of family and friends out there. It's the demographics are good in terms of his fan base. That's where you want to be. And so I like I said, I think now we're getting to more of a point, and I know people were mad about how much Jeremy didn't play tonight, but I'll talk about that in just a second. I think now we're starting to see hope for Jeremy to be able to stay in this market with this team for next year and be okay. So that's really good, because before it was like it didn't look like it was going to work. Now it looks like it might work. The reason why, and I said this on Twitter, the reason why I think Byron played Jeremy less tonight and played Ronnie more, particularly until late in the third, when basically there was no way for Byron to take Jeremy out of the game, and he didn't take him out for the rest of the game except for one time at the very end, was Kobe is not going to play tomorrow. in Portland. What that means for Kobe is that Kobe can play a little bit longer tonight. You can play more minutes because then he'll have extra time to rest tomorrow. Byron was playing Ronnie with Kobe. In other words, what it seemed to be is that every time Kobe came into the game, Ronnie came into the game. I don't know why Byron was doing that. My thought was that he was doing it because Kobe's defense isn't great, so you bring in Ronnie to kind of help Kobe on defense or help the team's defense when Kobe's in. Almost like the concept of you have Patrick Beverly to help out James Harden on defense. That's what it seemed like to me. And until late in the third quarter, their minutes matched perfectly. Like Kobe had played 26 minutes or something, and so had Ronnie. So I think Byron had it in his head that that's what he was going to do tonight. And the only time Byron changed that is when, in the fourth quarter, he didn't bring Ronnie back in. He kept Jeremy in because at that point he realized he had a chance to win the game. Jeremy was playing well, so okay. Now I'm going to deviate from what I was planning on doing, and let's win this game. And that's what happened. So, but what I think is going to happen tomorrow is I think you will see Jeremy play heavier minutes tomorrow. And in fact, you might even see Jeremy. Well, we'll see, but you could even see Jeremy start at shooting guard or something like that. Now that I think about it, Byron will probably start Wayne Ellington or Nick at shooting guard, but I think you will see Jeremy play more minutes tomorrow. And this does happen sometimes when you have back-to-back games. You will see coaches do this type of thing. They will rest guys more because they want to play them more minutes than the following night. That does happen. The proof is in the pudding, as the expression goes. We will see how the minutes go tomorrow night. But before I rip Byron for this, let's see how things go tomorrow night. Because I do think that's what Byron was thinking. Now, is it a great strategy, whatever? Maybe not. You know, Byron, I don't know if Byron's the greatest strategic coach in the world. So, you know, maybe he just had a simple plan and he was sticking to it. So, okay, so here we are. 74-74, middle of the fourth quarter. LA on a 16-5 run. Then we come out of the timeout, I believe we were on. Then Rodney Stuckey hit a three-point shot over Nick Young. Now, at that point in time, the Pacers had begun the game 6 of 8 on three-point attempts. And then after that 6 of 8, they then went 0 for 16. So that was the first three-pointer they had made in 17 attempts in the game. So they just had gotten really cold. Then Jeremy made a very nice defensive play. Nick Young was guarding Rodney Stuckey. Rodney Stuckey drove against Nick Young, and Stuckey went up to shoot a jump shot. Nick had fallen down, and Jeremy ran over to contest Rodney Stuckey's jump shot, which was then missed. That was a very good defensive play by Jeremy. Then Jeremy came down, and I want to say he was about 35 degrees left of the top of the arc, and he missed an open three-pointer that would have given the Lakers the lead. Excellent shot, just slightly offline, whatever. Then the Lakers got the offensive rebound. Then Jeremy passed the ball to Nick Young for a three-pointer in the left corner. That also would have given the Lakers the lead, and Nick Young missed that shot. So that, of course, was a blown assist then for Jeremy. Then this is when the play occurred between Carlos Boozer and Roy Hibbert. Roy Hibbert was cutting from left to right in the paint with the Pacers on offense, and Carlos Boozer shoved him in the chest, and Roy went down on the floor. Then Roy got up off the floor and shoved Carlos Boozer. So this is teams they were fired up. Like I said, now the Lakers had energy, which this game was so boring and so dead for most of it. Ian Ian or Jan was writing me on Twitter saying, man, I'm falling asleep in this game. And to be honest with you, I was pretty bored myself. I've seen a lot of basketball. It was slow. It was boring. Nothing. Now everybody was fired up. Now we're having fights because people are pumped up and the Lakers know they can win. So it was good. I mean, it's like I said, it all came off of Jeremy and what he did at the end of the third quarter. Okay. Then after that was settled out, that little thing, the little skirmish between Boozer and Hibbert, and Jeremy had another blown assist. He passed the ball to Carlos Boozer. And like I said, Jeremy was still in his groove right now. He was still in his groove. And Kobe had just come back into the game, but still Jeremy was controlling most of the action. It's just that he missed some shots and the Lakers missed some shots when he would have gotten an assist. But he was still rolling and running the show. Okay? Then Indiana went up 79-75. And the Lakers at this point in time, they were still, now that Kobe had come back in, you were starting to see kind of a blended offense, which is they were still running a little bit of pick and roll with Jeremy, but now they were starting to go more to their traditional offense with Kobe back in. So it's kind of like almost like they were taking turns again. And look, it was working fine. So, okay, whatever. Okay. Then I put Swaggy is trying to take over the game, which he was trying to do. So you had Jeremy, Kobe, and Swaggy all kind of doing their thing all at once. Fortunately, it worked. Heading into late in the fourth, now the Lakers were down a single point, 80-79. Kobe then, he dribbled to the left, basically to the left baseline. He went up for a shot, and he misjudged where he was at on the court. The ball ended up going off the side of the backboard. So it was a pretty bad brick, but fortunately that wasn't the last shot that Kobe was going to take. Then after that play, soon after that, Kobe had a very nice play with Carlos Boozer. I believe it was a pick and roll. Kobe was up near the top of the key, like the top of the little circle that's above the semicircle that's above the free throw line. He spotted Carlos Boozer break into the basket, and he gave him just a perfect pass. It was a great pass from Kobe to Boozer. Boozer went up for a layup on the left-hand side of the basket, and Roy Hibbert totally just completely rejected the shot, just gobbled it up. I was like, whoa. And it was kind of like, oh, a little bit deflating. And then Donald Sloan got a layup against JLin after that play. That made the score 82-79 for the Pacers, I believe. Yes. And then the score was cut down 82-81. I do not remember who scored at that point in time. Then the Lakers got the ball back, and Kobe almost turned the ball over. He was dribbling on the left-hand side of the lane. He almost turned the ball over. He did not. He regained control of the ball. He dribbled out to the left-handed corner, the left side corner, and he hit a three-point shot. And it was a really weird play because Kobe shot the ball and then he ran to the basket because he thought that the shot was going to be short. But instead it was a swish, and that gave the Lakers the lead 84-82. Then on the other end, Solomon Hill hit a three-pointer over Kobe. That put the lead back to Indiana 85-84. Then the Lakers scored again, 86-85. So we're going back and forth here now. Almost like who was going to get the final basket. Then Pacers scored again, 87-86. Kobe then missed a very short jump shot. He drove into the lane and he pulled up in front of Roy Hibbert. So he knew he didn't want Roy Hibbert to block his shot. And Kobe was about 6 feet from the basket. And he took a little shot and it went off. And Stu Lance said if Kobe had that shot to take again, he would shoot it off of the backboard. And I agree with him. That's probably true because the angle that Kobe was at, it's easier to shoot it off the backboard than to shoot it straight onto the rim. But it wasn't a bad shot. It just didn't go in. At this point, Indiana took a timeout. I think there was 43 seconds left, and they were up by 1 point, 87-86. They took a timeout. I believe they then missed whatever shot that they took. Lakers got the ball back. Kobe got the ball from about the left free throw line. He drove in towards the rim, kind of backed the man that was guarding him down, and then shot like a little jump hook. And it went in, and that made the score 88-87. 12 seconds left. Indiana took a timeout, and they came out of a timeout, and this is when Byron Scott put Ronnie Price in for JLin for defense, basically. And which, again, whatever. I mean, if it works, great. Indiana got a play. They passed the ball to Roy Hibbert. He was wide open for a 15-footer, which he didn't take. And then I think he passed the ball to someone else. Then Hibbert got the ball back, and basically Indiana had wasted their possession. So then at the very end of the game, Roy Hibbert had to throw up some desperation shot, total brick, and that was it. They blew the play, and the Lakers had won 88-87. Look, it was a great comeback, and again, it was thanks to JLin, and it was thanks to the bench, because, as I mentioned earlier, they don't win the game without JLin, and they definitely also don't win the game without their bench. The bench saved the starters here. The bench put the team in a position to win the game at the end, and that's what they did. And this is where the youth, the energy of the young guys, the athleticism, the running up and down the court is what got the Lakers back into the game and got them the win. And like I said, that's Jeremy. I mean, Jeremy's a captain of that ship. And he did a much better job running the team tonight than Nick Young did. Again, nothing against Nick. Nick's not a point guard. And there was a lot of times tonight where Nick was trying to run the show, but it wasn't working. Once Jeremy started running things, it worked a lot better. So everybody's still figuring things out. You know, how many minutes am I going to get? When am I starting on my bench? Who's got the ball in their hands? Who's running this? Who's going to take over the game? But I like the way things are heading. I like the way things are heading for Jeremy, and I like the way things are heading for the team. Having Ryan Kelly back really helps, as again, that helps the spacing of the offense, because teams have to respect his jump shot more so than they do with Wesley Johnson or Boozer or whatever out on the three-point line. And we haven't even seen Tarek Black yet. I think Tarek Black is going to help out a lot. Robert Sacre is bigger than Tarek Black is. Physically, he's larger, and in particular, he's taller than Tarek Black is. But Tarek Black is more athletic than Robert Sacre is. So once the team has a chance to practice some and get Tarek Black into the mix and maybe get him into the rotation a little bit, like I said, I like where things are heading. Look, Robert's a good player. I mean, there's things that Robert can do well. He can rebound pretty well, and he's a pretty good defender. He's a big guy. So if you have somebody you need to defend, like a Roy Hibbert, Sacre is a guy that can do a little bit of that. But for the team to be able to run up and down the court and to play basically Lin ball, Tarek Black's going to work better for that than Robert Sacre is. Also, Tarek Black is pretty good in pick and rolls, like Ed Davis is. So that will help Jeremy out. So when you can get this young, energetic shooting team out there for the second unit, basically Jeremy, Nick Young, Wayne Ellington, Ryan Kelly, Tarek Black, then I think you really could see some pretty very good things for that unit, for the excitement of the crowd, and for Jeremy. So I liked where things are heading. I'm glad the team won tonight. They played well. Particularly Jeremy and the second unit played well, whether they had won or lost. So there are positive signs all around. And again, I expect Jeremy to play a pretty good amount tomorrow night against Portland. So we'll be looking forward to that. Okay, that is it for now. We will include information in the video description below the video player so that you can check out highlights of this game. I did not get to see any post-game stuff, so I can't comment on any of it. I didn't see any interviews or anything yet, so I just can't say anything about that right now. I want to thank Gary Chen for the artwork you're looking at right now. Gary is from Taiwan, and he is an artist and blogger in Taiwan, and he is a member of the Jeremy-only Lin Garden fan group, which is a great group of people who are headquartered in Taiwan, but have members all over the world. They all are joined, linked together because they all speak Chinese or Mandarin. And they're just awesome, and we appreciate Gary and all of what the Jeremy Only Lin Garden group has done for us and for fans of Jeremy's all over the world. You can check out Gary's Facebook. We'll give you information so you can go and do that. Also, we will put information in the video description. You can come and find us on Twitter and join the Conservative New Media Facebook if you would like to do that. We have a lot of fun on Twitter. I'm on there all the time, and I love talking about basketball and many other things. Thumbs up, thumbs down, your comments below. Are you pumped up about this game? How you feeling about things for Jeremy and the team? Do you feel optimistic like I feel? What do you think? Again, I am PFE Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert. Thanks a lot for watching Conservative New Media. Strive to be the #1 Jeremy Lin YouTube fan channel. Look, this was a good night. This was a good night. It was a good win. I love the way Jeremy played this game. Now, the only thing you can take issue with him was his defense wasn't perfect. He played well when he needed to. He made some good plays. His shooting was a little off, 2 for 6, but he really guided the team well, and he made plays when he needed to make them. He understood what he needed to do when the moment came up, and he did it. And he's finding his way. He's finding his way, given the current circumstances and given the situation. So he's got to make the best out of this right now, and that's what he's doing. So I'm happy with this outcome, and I'm happy with his performance tonight. Also, what I should mention, I'm just seeing it right now in front of me in the stat sheet. The Lakers were 28 of 30 on free throw attempts, which is 93%. You will very, very rarely see that high of a percentage for a team in a game. Basically, they miss 2 of those. Even if they're like 88%, they lose this game. So credit to the Lakers on that. I did not realize that from this game. Really didn't pay attention to that during this game. They only had 2 misses. Ed Davis missed 1, and Jeremy missed 1. And that was it. So the free throw shooting essentially saved them in this game. But, that's good to see. So, just restating here, Jeremy Lin, in the final minute of the third quarter, completely changes the game momentum around and turns what was looking like a sure loss into an improbable Lakers comeback win. Jeremy, the unsung hero of the Lakers' victory tonight, 88-87 over the Pacers. Hope you guys are all having a great night, great day, wherever you are around the world. We say Happy New Year to everybody. Hope you had awesome holidays and back in the mix and settling back in. A lot of people may be still on vacation or just coming off of vacation, trying to get back into the flow of work. We've all been through that. So hope your winter's going well. If you're up in the Northern Hemisphere, if you're down in the Southern Hemisphere with Melody Ting and many others, hope that your summer is going well. And it's pleasant evenings and nice weather. So that is it for now. Let me just discuss the next game coming up. Of course, as we mentioned earlier, the next game will be against the Portland Trail Blazers tomorrow night. And as I mentioned also, that game will take place without Kobe Bryant and without Wesley Johnson. So the Lakers will be down 2 starters. I don't know who's going to be starting yet. If I had to guess, I would say Nick and Wayne Ellington. But I also wouldn't be surprised if it was Jeremy and Wayne Ellington starting in those 2 spots, or it could even be Ryan Kelly at the small forward. Byron Scott likes to use Nick Young off the bench. So there's a chance that he won't start Nick, and he could start Jeremy at the shooting guard instead. So, again, maybe that was his plan the whole time. I don't know. We will find out tomorrow. The game will take place 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Pacific Time in the United States on Monday, January 5th. And that means it'll take place 11 a.m. on Tuesday, January 6th in Taipei, Taiwan, all throughout China, and in Manila, the Philippines. It will be broadcast in the United States on NBA League Pass, Time Warner Cable Sportsnet, and whatever the local affiliate is in Portland. Historically, the Lakers have had a very difficult time winning in Portland. Portland will be heavily favored in the game, and it's going to be difficult. And Portland's going to be mad because they just lost at home to the Atlanta Hawks. And Portland is not a team that loses at home very much. So what I'm saying is it's going to be a tough game. On the good side for the Lakers, Portland is missing 2 of their important big men. Robin Lopez and Joel Freeland will both be out for the game. So that gives the Lakers some hope. But it's going to be interesting. I think if the Lakers are going to have a chance in that game, they're probably going to need to have a pretty good performance from Jeremy. So we'll keep our eye on that. That will be coming up tomorrow, which means we'll be talking to you again in about 24 hours. So as I said earlier, have a great night, a great day, or I hope that you're having one. We will talk to you again soon. And until then, take care and be well.